guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're following this journey, hi, you're welcome back to part 2 of my pregnancy series. So today I'm going to be talking about my first trimester recap. So my first trimester recap after I found out I was pregnant, how did it go? So I found out I was pregnant really early on at about week 3 and 4 days, and at that point I was still mesmerized by the news. So it took me a while for it to sink in, and until I missed my period before I really accepted that, damn, you are really pregnant. And it was quite nice to know, but then it was still daunting because there was a lot of reasons why I was anxious about finding out I was pregnant, because I felt like the timing wasn't the greatest for me, but I just feel like God works in amazing ways, so I just had to accept that that timing was just the best timing. I found out really early, and at 4 weeks I didn't get any symptoms. I had missed my period, and I was telling everyone, oh, I feel good, oh, I don't feel pregnant, I don't feel pregnant at all, I feel great, I feel like myself, I don't feel pregnant. And my sister Jimmy would not hesitate to remind me that just give it a few more weeks, okay? She was like, wait until you hit week 7, wait until you hit week 8, and then it will hit you like a ton of bricks. Week 7 and it hits me like a ton of bricks. We're out to a grill, a restaurant that had a bar and a grill. So they mostly served grilled meat at that restaurant. And for some reason, every single thing they served at that restaurant smelled like diesel or engine oil. I could not eat it. Like, I could not stomach it at all. It just smelled disgusting. And I just wondered why everyone else was eating it. I was like, can you not smell that? It smells like diesel. It smells like engine oil. Why are you eating it? I couldn't eat anything, and then it made me feel really nauseous, and that was when I was like, yes, the symptoms have arrived. So my symptoms started at week 7, really early on, and they weren't really pleasant, but I could still manage them at the time. All I had was nausea, and I had some headaches that weren't really too bad, so it was still manageable. And I had food aversion to grilled meat, and that has carried on through even up till now. If you grill meat around me, I cannot stomach it. I can't stand the smell and the sight of grilled meat. So carrying on to like weeks 8, 9, 10, 11, which is the period through which most of my symptoms lasted for, I started having extreme fatigue. So I would really want to carry on with my normal activities, because in my head, I don't feel pregnant, I'm still fine, I'm still normal. I went to the swimming pool one morning with my friends, and I completed an hour-long swim, burnt almost 700 calories, and I thought I would come out and be normal. Oh my God, I could not function for the rest of the day, and with the exhaustion came nausea. I just felt really disgusted by everything, and I was so fatigued that my mind could not even function. And it's strange because I'm such a busybody on a normal day. Like, I get up to 1,000,001 things on a normal day. So my brain was just telling me, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this. But my body, I could not move. I literally could not move. And people had been telling me before that, like, you need to rest. You need to rest. And I'm like, no, I'm fine. Like, I even still like booked braids appointments. I was doing braids, I was braiding hair. Everyone was like, you need to rest. And I'm like, no, I feel good. At that point, I was like, not again. I'm not doing anything strenuous again, because that exhaustion, it just feels so strange. I don't know how to describe that exhaustion that you get from being pregnant. You just feel like you've been running a marathon for like 1 week, and then all of a sudden people are trying to ask you to do things like, don't talk to me, I don't want to communicate, I don't want to even look at anything right now. Can I just lay here and be useless all day? But I still had to go to work. There were times at work where I had to take quick half-hour naps because I was so tired and I was so sleepy, but I still had to act normal for the rest of the day. I had a lot of cramping in my first few weeks of being pregnant, so I'd say that only stopped about like week 10. But cramping stopped, and I started having pelvic girdle pain. So if you don't know what pelvic girdle pain is, you might want to Google it. But it's basically because your pelvis is just literally separating. So you have like your pelvis is guarding your uterus. So because your uterus is growing, your joints and your ligaments are loosening because of a hormone that your body produces, and then it stretches and expands your pelvis. So moving can feel a bit strange because everything just felt too fluid. Like I just felt too flexible. Like when I move, it just felt like my bones were just moving out of place, and sometimes that came with pain. And then sometimes I would get lightening crotch. That's another one that no one ever told me about. What in the world is lightning crotch? Oh my God, it's basically electric. Like literally, you imagine your baby was Zeus or a god of thunder and lightning, and just striking lightning down through your lady parts. Yeah, that's exactly what it felt like. The first time I felt it, I jumped. I was like, what in the world is that? And it happened like every few seconds for almost 10 minutes. And good job I was on my own, because someone would have thought, what's going on with you and why are you jumping like that? I jumped, like literally it was kind of, ooh, what just happened? Like literally electric shocks, painful electric shocks through my uterus, through my lady bits. It just felt like everything was falling apart. It was all not right. And oh my God, I was like, yeah, this baby must have some thunder and lightning going on inside there, because I can't explain it any other way. So I also had a lot of like, I think they call it round ligament pain and growing pains as well. So I felt pain on my left hand side. Sometimes it was sharp pain, sometimes it was dull pain that carried on for weeks. And that's basically just because your uterus is expanding as well. So those were the pains I had. Like there was times that I would move and I would just have sharp pain down my leg, so sciatic type pain. So I was having lots of pain in my first trimester that I could swear there was like 3 babies in there trying to expand me, because I'm like, why is it so painful? It's only one baby and that baby is still really tiny. Why is it so painful? I was like, no, there has to be about 3 in there. There's definitely more than one, but it's one lovely little baby and I can't wait to see what he or she looks like. So I also, in my first trimester, started having swollen breasts. Yes, this is one almost everyone talks about. Your breasts are going to swell up. And if you know me, I already am very voluminous. Now imagine having even more volume, because this is something I've always dreaded. I'm not a big fan of big breasts and I've been blessed with them. Right from when I was a really, really young child, I've always had them. And now imagine growing up, really not wanting them, and then you're pregnant and then they decide to grow even more. How exciting. They were tender in the beginning, but not so tender. Only my nipples were a bit like painful, but it wasn't too bad that I couldn't touch them. So if something brushed across my nipples, they would be a bit like, ooh, but that only lasted a few weeks. And I would say it wasn't so significant that I paid attention to it all the time. So I'm grateful for that. So at least even if it was swelling, it wasn't like really hurting me. How I knew it was really growing was if I walk around braless, I could feel on my chest here like I had been lifting weights. You know when you do like push-ups and then your chest the next day, you just feel all this pain. That's exactly how it felt. And I was like, yeah, we're going to be needing a whole lot more support up here. Another thing I could not stand in my first trimester was milk. And I was a coffee lover. Like I'll drink my coffee with evaporated milk, and people laughed at me at work and I didn't care. I could not stand milk. I had to stop drinking coffee completely. So I switched to fruit teas, so berry tea and peppermint tea, lemon tea, ginger and lemon tea. Oh, sorry, I'm going to be burping a lot. You guys are just going to have to excuse me. So I switched to fruit teas. I couldn't have tea, I couldn't have coffee, which is good because caffeine is not really that great when you're pregnant, though you can have it in moderation. So yeah, I switched to fruit teas. Could not have milk, could not stand milk, could not think of milk, could not have anything that was milk processed, yogurt, ice cream, anything that just feels like there's milk in it and I can see that there's milk in it. Please take it away from me. I don't want to see it. So that was one. My linea nigra showed up at 11 weeks. That was so exciting. It was still really faint, but I could definitely see it. I was so excited when I spotted it. I was like, oh, is that you? Oh, I don't know why that was exciting for me. I'm not quite sure. But because I can't see what's going on inside my body, as a curious person that I am, the external changes really excited me. And it almost made me have a feeling that something is actually happening. things are actually changing. There might be a baby, or there is a baby in there. There's something, because obviously at this point I hadn't done any scans. So all I had to rely on was my pregnancy tests that I had peed on. So the changes were just exciting. I was like, okay, things are progressing, things are happening. I had to wait for my scan, which was done at my 12 weeks and 5 days appointment. So up until then, I was just so excited to see all the little changes that were happening. Some of them I didn't like, some of them I wasn't too like put off by, some of them were okay. I had my first midwife appointment at my 9th week, and I met my midwife and everything was good, and she took my bloods. If you want me to go into depth about what the midwife appointment is like here in the UK, let me know and I can make another video about that. But it was really nice because it finally felt real. Like the minute they gave me that appointment, I was like, ah, they believe me. Oh my god, they believe I'm pregnant. All I've done was pee on a stick and they believe me. They gave me an appointment. So that was exciting. I went with my husband and it was a really good appointment. I didn't vomit throughout. Actually, I vomited once throughout my first trimester, and that was triggered by my prenatal vitamin, and I switched it. As soon as that happened, I stopped taking my prenatals and switched to something else, which I will be sharing a little bit later on. So I had nausea, but I didn't really have a lot of vomiting. I had nausea, but not a lot of vomiting. So I vomited once, which I'm happy about. Vomiting is not fun. I don't know if there's anything I've missed out. So I've written down cramping, nausea, very full breasts, low libido. I didn't speak too much on that, but yeah, know that happened in first trimester. Food aversion, so I had milk and anything grilled. Generally, food didn't really sound great to me, to be fair. Generally, I didn't really want to eat because I just felt nauseous all the time, but I had to eat. But those two foods I've just mentioned, I just could not tolerate. And I had lightning crotch. My linear nigra came out at 11 weeks. I had my first midwife appointment, which is lovely. Now I'm just going to go on to the things that I've used in my first trimester. So the apps I use are Flow and Pregnancy apps. So I've always used Flow all throughout, for as long as I can remember, just to track my cycles. So it just went straight into pregnancy once I updated the app. And I've been using the Pregnancy Plus app, which tells you the size of the baby and all of that good stuff. So I would recommend using those two if you want to have more than one app, or you can have either or. Both of them are quite informative, but I think Flow does not give you a lot of information unless you subscribe. So the Pregnancy Plus gives you more information for free. So my vitamins, so I mentioned that I was using prednisone, and prednisone made me vomit, and I didn't like the sound of that. I didn't like the feeling of that, so I just decided to stop. And as a pharmacist, I'm well aware that, to be honest, you don't need a lot of these vitamins. You can get them from foods that you eat and incorporate them. The most important ones are your folic acid, 400 micrograms, which I purchased. And I also use the high strength vitamin D. So you don't have to use high strength vitamin D. Your requirements while pregnant is 10 micrograms, but this one is 25 micrograms. It's got 180 tablets in there, so that will last me quite a while. Using 25 micrograms is not the worst thing. It's fine. Your body will absorb what you don't need, but the baby needs at least 10 micrograms of vitamin D. Avoid anything that contains vitamin A or retinol. So if you've been using skincare products that have retinol, vitamin A, any of that, just avoid. Any skincare products that you use, double check that it's safe for use in pregnancy. But vitamin A is one that you should absolutely do without. I've been using the Palmer's cocoa butter stretch mark lotion, as well as just the cocoa butter cream, which I use regularly anyways. I've been rubbing that on all my potential stretch mark areas. I know that I'm prone to stretch marks, and if I do get them, it's not the end of the world, but I just want to know that at least I did something to at least minimize them. So whatever the outcome is with my stretch marks, I'll be letting you guys know. But whatever it is, I'm happy, I'm at peace with it, I am content. I didn't talk about my cravings. So I didn't really crave anything in particular, but a pattern I noticed was that I started craving a lot of swallow. So I don't eat swallow normally. So I'm talking about things like amala, poundo. I don't eat swallow normally, but for some reason I just really wanted to eat swallows at some points. Another thing I noticed was whenever I crave something, I needed to eat it now. like now. If not, I feel like I'm gonna pass out. Like I literally would crave amala, and I'm like, I need amala within the next 30 minutes, otherwise something's gonna happen. Something's gonna happen if I don't eat it right now. So yeah, that was that. The other thing is baby brain. Baby brain is real. I tell you, that baby brain is super, 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 super real. Like I will be talking to you and having a proper full-on conversation, and I will just stop and stare at you like, what were we talking about? I don't remember what I was gonna say. You're gonna give me minutes to just recollect my thoughts because I can't even remember what I'm doing right now. Or at work, I just kept hoping no one would notice. I would just stop in the middle of conversation and be like, I forgot a lot of things. So yeah, baby brain is definitely real, and they tell me that it doesn't leave you for quite a while. So interesting. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I don't know if I've missed anything. If I have, I might just leave them as like notes or something just somewhere on this video or after this video. But thank you so much for watching this video up to this point. I'm going to now show you my bump. So I think because I ate a lot today, my bump was looking massive, but it has gone down just a bit now. I still think it looks very big for 13 weeks. It looks quite big.